Welcome back to the Lords of Lore podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Luca.
I'm Will.
And we are the Lords of Lore, the podcast for all things fantasy and sci-fi nerddom. And today we are getting into both of those things, fantasy and sci-fi. And we are reviewing the new major motion picture, Dune. Obviously, originally by Frank, is it Hebert or Herbert?
Herbert.
I have it, Herbert. I have it right in front of me. I should know this. Obviously directed by Denis Villeneuve or Denis Villeneuve. If you're me making a terrible joke. I'm super excited to talk about this film. For people who are just seeing our channel for the first time, welcome. We do shows every Tuesday, whether it's a film review or some niche fantasy sci-fi topic. And then every Friday we do something a little bit different, but similar. We might interview somebody about their not so guilty, nerdy pleasure, or we might play some D&D or do a book review. Speaking of book reviews, we might have to tackle this at some point, because after seeing this movie, my girlfriend and I immediately went and purchased 3 different copies of this book, deluxe edition, paperback, and graphic novel. So we liked it, I guess. But I want to know, before we get into it, we might do a little spoiler-free to start off, and then we'll get into the juicy spoilers of it just in a moment here. So just briefly, you guys' thoughts. If someone is going blindly into this movie, what should they expect, and how do you think it turned out? We'll start with you, Luca.
I actually have some, spoiler free. In terms of a movie, like visual experience, I don't know that I can think of many films that are a bigger spectacle, like just in terms of viewing pleasure that I've seen, especially in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX.
Oh, cool.
Like, sound design, video effects, cinematography, it's amazing. Obviously, Denis Villeneuve, all his movies look amazing. And he's probably made 3 of my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
What, 2049 and Sicario?
And Arrival.
Oh, Arrival. Oh, I forgot he did Arrival.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So obviously it's heavy sci-fi, which I love. Some people might be turned off by that if you don't know anything about the books, but in terms of a movie, just visual pleasure, it was flawless, 10 out of 10.
And what about you, Will?
So one of my 2 gripes that I had with the movie, and this is spoiler free, it's just because it's 2 parts, right? So part 1, movies always suck. Because I don't know, the same thing with Harry Potter, and one of my friends is also, we were talking about this before I watched it, because he was it's a part 1, because it's a very long movie, was it over 2.5 hours, so decent time, but I didn't notice the time at all, because I felt like I was super anxious the whole time, waiting, it felt like something was about to happen. It reminded me a lot of 2049. It's kind of just the feel and the music and all that stuff. And then it's just part 1 and it just ends, and it's kind of damn. I felt like I could have kept going. So I think it'd be pretty sweet if they released 1 and 2 at the same time in theaters or something, so you could just spend a whole day watching it.
So your biggest gripe is there wasn't enough of it. So that's an overall positive, I'd say.
Definitely really good. I guess my only advice is just don't expect much exposition and explanation. That's the other thing I noticed.
I agree with that. Except that's one of the things I love about this movie. Mm-hmm. I think I've said this on this show before in the different reviews we've done. I hate when a movie sort of holds your hand and walks you through, and you get the exposition that's just beating you over the head with there was a war once. It's come on, man. Everything in this movie I felt was so subtly hinted at and implied, that implies this bigger universe. I remember after the movie, my girlfriend was wait, did we even see the Emperor? And I was no. And she was oh, that's so cool. And I was yeah, it is. We just have this scary figure that we've heard about and has all these sort of machinations and stuff. And it's oh, I can't wait to see that. But yeah, I thought like the exposition, there's only one point, and I'll be spoiler free here. There's only one point that I felt like, oh, that was a little bit heavy handed, was when they're putting on like the suits.
Oh yeah.
And the person who's explaining how to put them on, I was like, okay, we get it. There's suits. Like that was the only part I felt like the exposition was like, hitting you over the head with it. But besides that, I thought everything was done like so seamlessly.
Yeah, it reminded me of like Q from like James Bond movies where like they explain the gadget like all at once.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's like a very important gadget in the movie and
absolutely
for the world.
It was so necessary, but it was like the way they did, like I sort of loved being spoiler free. There's a scene early in the movie where the main character is having something described to him through like almost like modern means of like watching a YouTube video or like on the Wikipedia page, like it's being read out loud, and it's like, oh, like that's a really cool way to like give us probably what was written in the book, as well as like have this character ingesting that information, so it feels very natural and it's not just like someone saying it. The only thing was like with that scene I was referencing before, it was just like we needed a character to like tell them about it. It was like,
it was like very, very fast too.
Yeah,
but to be fair, it also served another purpose, which is spoiler, which we won't get
into. It absolutely
about.
Does, yeah. And if that was my biggest gripe, that's pretty like I still love that scene. So overall, I absolutely love this movie. I think like the day I saw it was the day they greenlit the second film, which initially hearing it, because the movie was so great, I was like, oh, that's weird that they didn't see it and go, this is going to be huge, we should start working on the second one immediately. But because like 2049 flopped, cost over 200 million to make, and made like 10 million opening weekend, so like very, very not profitable movie, but critically acclaimed. And like Villeneuve, like he's a very he's a filmmaker's filmmaker, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't pull any punches, and his movies are longer than most. So there was points in this movie that I like felt like the movie was ending. It's like, wow, Villeneuve really pulled back and subdued himself. And then there's like still an hour of the movie left. I was like, yes. But yeah, I loved it. Sounds like you guys enjoyed it.
I still have one more gripe.
Oh, okay, let's hear it. Is it spoiler free?
I guess no, it's about the casting.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that in the spoiler portion.
Okay.
So again, you can check us out here Tuesdays
and
Fridays.
Two things actually. Because there was one that just like completely fucked me up, and I just couldn't stop staring the whole time.
Oh, what a good cliffhanger for people who have just watched the spoiler free. Come back and see what's bothering Will about. So when you have seen the movie, come back and check out our spoiler full review. Let's get into it right now.